Hi, I'm Jill Kerttula, and I'm talking to you from Charlottesville, Virginia. It's a gorgeous day here, and the reason I'm outside is I have sublet my studio for about 6 months and giving myself a hiatus to go back and concentrate on things like drawing and photography and some other aspects of my artwork. So instead of being in my studio, I thought I'd bring you up here, which is my vantage point that gave me the inspiration for the piece that is in the Quilt National. So I'm going to show you a little bit over the edge where I am. I'm on the top of a parking ramp, and right down here you can see, you might recognize that as where I took the original photo for my piece. All of my pieces start with my own photography, which is then layered with other fabrics after the photography has been printed on fabric. So sometimes I layer fabrics underneath it and slash through the photo so that it creates both a texture and a difference in color. Many times I add, as you can see in this piece, I'll add glazing almost with organza or tools or other transparent type fabrics that allow me to change the colors or add colors. I do a lot of free motion stitching, and then I also do hand stitching. Hand stitching to me is like adding those final brush details is with painting. It just does a little more texture and a little bit broader brush stroke, quote unquote, than a machine stitching does. I also couch a lot of yarn on top of my photos and will do whatever it takes to get to the texture that I really want in my paintings or my pieces. This particular piece is one of my series, which I call Urban Voyeurism. And that started about 6 years ago when I moved from Wisconsin to Virginia. And I also moved from a very rural area into a very urban area. I live right downtown. This parking ramp is literally across the street from my home. And I found such beauty in living in the city. It's easy to see the beauty in the wildlife and the flowers and the landscapes of the country. It took a while for me to accept the beauty of the grittiness of a city, of the people of the city, of the concrete of the city, and of the plants and wildlife in the city. And that's what I really have been working on for the last several years, is this whole urban voyeur. The other reason that I work on the urban voyeur cities is I really want to encourage people to notice the beauty and the uniqueness of wherever it is that they live. Too often we think to find good photos or to find inspiration, we have to go to Walden Pond or some other great nature preserve. But that's not true. There's beauty, there is interest, there is excitement and inspiration all around us. I had a teacher one time who said any artist should be able to find inspiration in the 8 feet around them. And I totally agree with that. There's always a texture or a color or a subject that can excite you. And so that's the basis for a lot of my work, is what is right here, right now, when you open your eyes to it. I have a background in art, both in graphic design, fine art, painting, and printmaking. And I try and employ as many of those sensibilities to my fiber art as possible. And that includes the basic art theories of composition, color, texture, line, all of those basic design considerations. But what I really like about fiber is that it has the added aspect of texture. It's almost sculptural in my mind. It's very much hands-on. I love the tactile nature of textiles, where I actually have to go in and touch it every moment that I'm working on it. And then it has that texture that people who come into my studio want to touch it too. And I let them in the studio. I know you won't at Quilt National, and that's just fine. But individuals in my studio immediately are drawn to the texture, and that's what my work exploits in fiber. This piece was a little bit tough because it was a little bit different in that it wasn't a particular scene. It was more of a collage work than what I've done before. And that started with the photography. There's a couple different photos collaged together. Then on top of that is some paint silhouettes in there. There's some fabric silhouettes collaged in there. And then the final collage would be all of the both free motion stitching and hand stitching that are added at the end. And so I wanted it to base and really see, land right in that fine line between real and surreal, because that's what 2020 has been for most of us. It's almost real, but still surreal. And so I hope that's what you see in this, is that surrealness of having to be masked, having to be distanced, but still carry on with life. Here's hoping for a better 2021. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.